And welcome to Waterfall and Stream, another episode in John's Eclectic Photo Time Adventure Series, episode 22. John, a seasoned wildlife and landscape photographer, lived for days like this, days that began in darkness and promised something hidden, something whispered about in local hiking circles and old trail blogs. The rumor of a lost waterfall, nestled deep within a hidden canyon, had reached John's ears only days prior, and the pull was irresistible. With his Canon R5 Mark II, a full kit of lenses, ND filters, a sturdy tripod, and a backpack loaded with essentials, John rolled down the dirt road that ended where even his GPS refused to offer directions. He parked beside a rusted, moss-covered sign that simply read, "Private property. Enter at your own risk." The markings were faded, but the challenge was clear. He stepped out, the air damp and crisp, the scent of dew-heavy ferns rising from the forest floor. John had studied the topographical maps and aerial images the night before, noting an area where elevation drops sharply. That cliff, he suspected, would lead into the hidden canyon, and so it did. After bushwhacking his way through the tangled brambles and sidestepping rocks, slick with early morning moisture, he reached a steep descent, a wall of earth tangled with vines and roots. The climb down required caution, and John moved deliberately, camera gear snug in his pack. A slip here would not just mean injury. It could mean lost gear or worse. Finally, boots hit soft earth at the base of the descent, and what unfolded before him looked like something from another time. The canyon yawned outward, with high cliffs on both sides that had kept this place cloaked in silence. Before him lay a sprawling marshland. Reeds swayed as a narrow trickle of water pushed through, barely audible over the whispering wind. Here, time seemed to slow. John set his tripod low and wide, camera fixed and ready. Strangely, he did not aim the lens forward toward the flow of the water, but rather turned it back to where he'd come from. He wanted the story of this journey to begin at the start, the flowing water meandering in from the wilderness, sun rising above the canyon's rim, and detritus, leaves, twigs, and broken bits of the forest memories scattered along the muddy edge. The first click of the shutter echoed like a heartbeat. He adjusted exposure, refined his focus, and captured a sequence of stills. Then switching to video, he let the scene breathe for several minutes. The sounds of birds stirred in the distance. Leaves rustled. The jungle-like vegetation formed a wall of green along the stream bed. A shift of golden morning light suddenly broke through the dense canopy above, igniting the trunks of nearby trees like a fiery hue. Shadows danced. Colors deepened. John turned the camera toward the stream's far side. Thick, dark forest loomed beyond. The contrast was stark. Light and life to his left, mystery and shadow to his right. He dropped the tripod legs into the water gently, letting the current wrap around them. Then, almost theatrically, another beam of sunlight pierced the darkness and painted the water before him with liquid gold. The shifting color, where light met the cooler depths, turned the water into a swirling ribbon of glowing amber and vibrant blue. John smiled quietly to himself. Light really does matter. As he began to collect his gear, movement tugged at the edge of his vision. Something sinuous sliding across the fallen log just a few feet away. He froze. Years of wildlife photography had taught him this simple rule. Movement without identity requires stillness. Then he saw it. A coral snake, vibrant with red, yellow, and black, glided silently across the log. John's mind quickly recalled the childhood rhyme, red on yellow kills a fellow. And sure enough, the banding confirmed the danger. Carefully, John reached for his telephoto lens and snapped several photos without shifting his footing. The snake slid into the underbrush, disappearing as silently as it had come. John exhaled and moved on, the terrain transitioning from marshland to a more structured riverbed. Rocks lined the stream now, and the air felt cooler, cleaner. Here the banks rose sharply, 15 to 20 feet on each side, layered with dark shale that gave a striking contrast to the green above and the water below. He paused to take more frames. As always, he began by facing backward, telling the story from behind. Then he turned forward and captured video. He dialed in his exposure, 1/10 of a second, f/16, ISO 100. He clicked frame after frame, adjusting focus between shots for a future focus stack in post-processing. The river danced between frozen motion and the silky blur in his viewfinder. Eventually, he came upon a small waterfall, picturesque but clearly not the legendary cascade he sought. He photographed it nonetheless. The dark shale behind it offered a rich visual backdrop, but John felt it. This was not it. He pressed on. The valley narrowed, the climb steeper, the air denser. Nearly 2 hours passed before he noticed a growing roar of water. Not a trickle, not a murmur, but a sustained, powerful rush. And then he saw it. The trees parted like a theater curtain, revealing a nearly still pond of crystal clear water, fed by a broad, thunderous waterfall nearly 50 feet wide. Mist rose like breath from the water's surface. Moss clung to every nearby rock, and dragonflies danced through shifts of golden light like tiny helicopters. John stood motionless, overcome not just by beauty, but by the sheer sense of discovery. This was it, the Lost Falls. He set up in silence, knowing light was fleeting, a few quick handheld shots to document the scene. Then the work began. He affixed his circular polarizer to reduce glare on the pond, then, carefully threading the 10-stop ND filter into place, he extended exposure times to smooth the waterfall into a delicate veil of motion. Minutes turned to nearly an hour. Videos captured the ambient sound of the falling water, the rustle of the wind, the occasional calls of the unseen birds. Each frame John took was layered with purpose, contrast, texture, balance. He shifted angles, knelt by mossy rocks, and even climbed a small ledge to frame a downward composition. Before packing up, John adjusted his tripod one last time to shoot a 5-frame panoramic. Carefully overlapping each frame, he imagined the final stitched image printed large, a centerpiece for the wall in his cabin office, a reminder of the unknown discovered. As he slung his pack over his shoulders, wet from mist and sweat, stomach growling with hunger, he took one last look at the falls. The sun had begun to drop behind the cliffs, and the falls glowed one last time with amber light. The walk back was long, and the climb up the canyon faced grueling. But as John pulled himself over the final ledge, breath heavy, he knew it had been worth it. A photo adventure fueled by rumor, rewarded with truth. And the image, the panorama of the Lost Falls, would forever whisper the secrets of a place forgotten by time and remembered only by light. And we hope you enjoyed this episode of Waterfall and Stream, part of John's Eclectic Photo Time Adventure Series, episode 22. Please join us next time for Camping in Nature, part of John's Eclectic Photo Time Adventure Series, episode 23. And presented here are some of the images that were used within this presentation. These screenshots are here to prove up that these are not AI-generated images. On here is the camera, the lens, the settings, the name, the date, everything you need to know to prove up that these are not AI-generated images. Thank you. And here's the biography of the narrator, photographer, and the storyteller of this episode and all of the John's Eclectic Photo Time Story Adventures. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing and hit that like button. Thank you.